Hello everyone and welcome back! PCC8 Quarterfinals, and the final one we have for you here today. It's D-Lo, it's F6, it's Moogie, it's Choice Almighty Eye in the sky! Guys, what a game we have ahead of us. Professors versus Top Physique trying to get in shape. What do we need to look forward to in this matchup?
We have a lot to look forward to. A brand new team versus one of the oldest teams that we have going into this match. A lot of people are looking at Top, but Professors are here to try and stand strong because, I mean, they do have a consistency going on with this team.
When it comes to that matchup, like when I knew I was going to be on the desk for that matchup, I was super excited because I feel like there was like a big story like building up here. Professors, a team that is very consistent, has been like in almost every single PCC so far. But I feel like they're kind of like the old dog, that they have trouble of just like keeping progressing at the same pace of like the new arrival. And Top Physique, like in the group stage, people were kind of considering they were overperforming, but they kind of come strong, and they were just like this team that just confirmed that they're a top team. And then I was like so excited for this match on the final stage, but at the same time, Top Physique didn't practice at all the whole week, so I'm kind of sad. And so like I want to believe in Top Physique, but at the same time Professor practice a lot and they really step up compared to how they play in the group stage. And like I said earlier, I'm a believer in actually like putting the practice in. So Top Physique had to convince me in this best of three.
Makes sense. The Professors know how to do their homework. They are the ones assigning it after all. Let's take a look here, though, at the numbers, see if it reflects the same way. Walk me through here. F6, what catches our eye?
I mean, for me, it is that Richter pickup. The Professors, Crazy Fool is known for this Richter, and they can expect it on the side of Top Physique here to be picked up. They do ban out Narbash a lot because we know the man is a healing monster. I mean, it all kind of just makes sense. So when it comes to the draft, these are two main characters we need to look out for.
And here, when I look at those numbers, there is one number I want to pick up, is the damage per game. And as we can see, we have almost like plus 50% on the side of Top Physique, but we actually have a lesser KDA. So Professor being like very efficient with their damage, while Top Physique apparently loves to do a lot of damage, but sometimes not fully converting it into actual like success in terms of kills.
So in that case, maybe making sure that you have some picks on your roster that are good at lasting, that are good at finishing the job. We can't leave any scraps behind. We have to clean our plate. And we alluded to it earlier. It's going to be an interesting story as far as synergy versus new is better. Kind of in our honeymoon phase here for Top Physique, whereas Professors, it's essentially the same team, more or less, that were victors for PCC 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that old married couple versus that brand new couple, you know, it's just definitely different parts of their life and stages of their team that they are in. But Professors, we talked to them in the back line, Crazy Fool and Survivor, they're not expecting to lose today. They say, hey, we're practiced like Moogie was referring to, and we're ready for any team, and we're here to contend against D-Lab or the Doctors to try and get themselves another championship here today.
And there is like also like one question overall. I feel like Violence in PCC 5 was a monster of an offlaner, but here for the good of the team he's actually playing in the jungle, and I feel like he's doing good, but not as good as he was doing in offlane. And also another matchup I'm kind of like expecting some good things is Simba has been popping off, no going back into carry. I feel like every single PCC, Simba is changing his role in the competitive scene, but now he's on his main role as carry, and he has been dominating with that Kira pick. While like I feel like Survivor is still like a very strong carry, but kind of sometimes I have trouble against like those new stars that are starting to shine, and so I'm kind of curious to see if Survivor will still pull his weight against Simba, or if Simba will be able to dominate that matchup.
Gonna have to see how that translates into these picks and bans as we begin to get into them right now. Draft day has occurred. We're going to see who ends up being conscripted here. What are we looking for as far as priorities? I know we talked about those top picks, top bans. Do we expect to see the exact same thing again? Do we expect to see Zaris make a return for that first pick? Who knows?
I mean, I know 100% Zars is either going to be on the first bid
Probably.
or first pick. I mean, he has been showing out all day today. He's a strong hero right now, especially with that Coliseum, just being able to lock everybody in. We've seen Gadget an increase in her and Gideon as well. Anybody to be able to facilitate that damage. But we see the Decker ban here coming up for the Professors.
And here we're gonna have the Zarus ban as a response. We don't want to leave open Zarus, Terra, Aurora. So maybe one going to one side and the other going to go for the other side, which had the option open. I think what's interesting is, like, of course, we know Professor loves the Rictor. They also love the Grim.exe a lot. So maybe we're gonna get like a Grim.exe into a Kira, or maybe we're gonna use the second round of ban to kind of counter that. And that's gonna be the Terra being locked in first on the side of Professor. So I do assume probably an Aura in response on the side of Top Physique.
You gotta put something in front of that Terra to stop the dive. A nice big ice wall certainly achieves that fact. It's interesting to find the fact that Professors and Top Physique have gotten chances to now do their homework on the prior sets of today as well, have recognized the fact that Terra, yes, is as effective as we once feared, and now needs to find answers, and those answers are going to come in the form of that Aurora, just like you predicted there, Mugi, and the Richter.
Yeah, I mean, two of the biggest counters towards Terra is the Zars and the Decker, but they're already gone. So, I mean, these are a pickup for Professors, but the better pickup is this Aurora and Richter. Not only do they take away the Richter from Crazy Fool, but they also pick up one of the strongest backline divers in the game right now.
And so in a sense, I like it, and in a sense, I don't like that Richter pick because, like, of course, you remove it from Crazy Fool, but do you have someone that can play Richter at the top level in your own team? Because if you cannot, like, Richter is actually a very dead pick by itself. Like, it's very, very hard to navigate. But here on the side of Professors, we know that Survivor basically played 2 carry, Drongo and Grim. So here he decided to opt for the Drongo with the Gideon, and we already have like a pretty like in-your-face type of comp, which can be like dangerous for Richter because Richter loves to be the one that engage, but every time he's on the limit, if he can get dove on, suddenly it's very complicated for him to be able to operate.
And of course, Professors being the ones that are liable to lock in that Richter, they know the weaknesses of this hero more than anyone. Howitzer going to try to bolster that one up. It's been effective all day, can't quite blame him. Top Physique now have their mid.
Yeah, I mean, Involve picking up the Gideon for himself there. Definitely a comfort pick towards that mid lane. But by the Papaya picking up this Howitzer, he's definitely more comfortable on that pick than Involve is. Involve a little bit more newer, as in the essence of getting back into Pred. It has to go against a Bay the Papaya character, a player that plays pretty much every day.
That's gonna be the Sevrog ban. I have to admit, on the side of Professor, I probably will be looking at a Kira ban. If we want to remove that from Simba, as he has been like super strong, but at the same time, maybe we're not super scared of the Kira Richter lane, because then you have a big lack of pushing power and lane control, so they can decide to leave it open and decide to remove the Grim, because Grim would pair very well with the Richter, good burst potential, but also like offer you good clear power and also be able to be safe because of the displacement blast can always like farm from a very, very long distance. So on the side of Top Physique, we can still like pick the carry, or then we also have like here support, jungle, everything is open. We decided to opt for the Quang. So probably I think we're looking at the Richter support and then Quang Aura like switching between offlane and jungle depending on what they want. And here on the side of Professor, we're still looking for the support, and there is still like probably Muriel open with combined good with the dive. Narabash is also like a good solution, kind of making the link between that Terra and the backline and be able to dive with it while offering some support.
Decker would be nice to have now, right? But unfortunately, you're the one who banned it away. Professors having confidence in their damage core, they're going to opt for that first. And it's indeed, this guy has got a crystal ball, seeing into his tea leaves here. Muriel is going to be the pick there for the Professors. They lock in the steal right alongside it.
I mean, Steel just provides that need for your team to lock everything down. He's able to peel or he's able to engage. The fact that Terra is on their team, they don't have to worry about that. But Muriel with that sustain, Professors right now are looking strong. That front to back line fighting is definitely there for them. And if they execute that, Top Physique is going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, and on top of that, I feel like the composition of Professor is very easy to execute. We have seen like in the previous match, Mind the Gap, so now they have like an easier comp to execute with the Steel, the Muriel, the Zarus, and suddenly everything starts to fall like perfectly for them. And I hear Professor, they definitely have the talent to execute a comp that is complex, but this one is very easy. And on the side of Top Physique, like now they have to pick their carry, they don't have a lot of option, so they're gonna opt for the Twin Blast, but if your Howitzer and your Twin Blast get picked up by the dive, which to be honest, it's very possible, all your damage crumble, and that's gonna be very hard to play the team fight.
It's tried and true. It's what you had left. They got to go searching in the bargain bin. They find that Twin Blast. Top Physique have confidence that they can still play through it well. Comp for comp, it's now locked in. It's a new set, but it's the same old reliable question, guys. Who do we favor?
Man, it's going to have to be the Professors for me. Like Miggy is saying, this is easy to facilitate for your team. And with the high level of play coming out of Professors consecutively throughout these tournaments, I think they just kind of run through Top Physique here. But at the same time, never really talked about Chicken, him being on support. He's an absolutely great player. So I think he's able to contend with Crazy Fool on this Richter. That might change the outcome of this game.
And on my side, I will have to pick Professor as well. I feel like the composition is more well-rounded, easier to execute. Top Physique will have to do a lot. And since I didn't practice during the week, I feel like it might be a little bit too hard to pull off. But at the same time, I want to be a believer. But that's still going to be Professor for me.
Got to find out if Top Physique are indeed out of shape or if Professors can take this one away. Casters, HD, Philly B, Dr. Shadow, and Trix Eye in the Sky, all you guys.
Thank you, D-Lo and the Dex. Thank you. Appreciate it. Doc, we have our final quarterfinal match of the day. The winner of this will play the Doctor. So a lot on the line, and looking up to the Goliath, the number 2 team in this tournament, is your next opponent. So even if you get through this challenge, there's another bigger challenge waiting for you on the other end.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got a huge series ahead of them, not just to overcome the opponent in this match, but also to really learn and adapt and grow according to the meta that we've seen kind of developing throughout this tournament in terms of favoritism toward Muriel and Steel and the Zaruses. So there's a lot of learning that these teams are going to have to engage in if they want to really continue climbing and make it to the very, very big grand final.
Doc, and one thing that you and I have been talking about a lot today and a couple of days ago too is the Steel. We love Steel as a character, but we think his most proficient spot on the roster is support. Right now, I think they're looking at him in the off lane, which is going to be pretty rough, I'm feeling.
Yeah, we've casted a couple games together where he's paired up against one of those magic dealing or heavy magic dealing brawlers like the Auroras, the Shinbis, the Quangs, and he tends to struggle a little bit more compared to when he's against a Grux or a Zarus or more of the physical damage dealers, because he likes to build Fire Blossom and build more of the physical defensive type of items. So I'm curious to see. I don't think I've personally seen the Aurora and Steel matchup enough to really be able to speak on it, but Aurora, if she gets even just a little helping hand against Steel, she's going to become an absolute threat into this game.
Yeah, and so that's definitely for the folks at home, a lane you're going to want to watch. I do like the Decker first ban. We've watched a lot of Top Physique, and Chicken is just so prolific on that character, so I think maybe even a respect ban. And Doc, our saying is ban the Decker, and Top Physique took our advice.
Ban the Decker, but I gotta say, it's a big move by Top Physique here, picking up the Richter up against Crazy Fool, who, as many of you viewers at home know, like that is his hero. That is what he is known for. There's a lot of pressure here to really perform to the standard that Crazy Fool has set for their hitting hooks and positioning around his carry. So I'm going to be watching the duo lane positioning, especially heading into those objective fights. How are they playing around one another? Because the way Survivor and Crazy Fool play around another is just perfect kiting, perfect distance, creating space around one another. Really, just when you watch them, they look like those two magnetic balls that kind of just spin around in circles around one another, kind of as they're doing right now. But yeah, that's something we're going to be watching for as we especially get to the first Fangtooth fight of the game.
100%. I mean, we've talked about kind of the old guard versus new guard sort of deal, and these two have been playing together for ages, it feels like, in the competitive scene. So just so in sync is this tandem. Chicken is going to be feast or famine on this Richter. We know that that's kind of the script for this character. So let's see if they can get anything done. We'll see a couple rotations around the match. Around the map, rather. But Gideon versus the Howitzer in the mid lane, that's one we see time and time again. Doc, who do you favor there?
I mean, Howitzer is generally picked to be able to keep a distance from Gideon and his combinations. But hold that thought. Violence coming in under the tower, under the tier 1. Oh, Involve is going to get a first blood off of that tier 1 tower dive that nobody expected. I didn't expect that. But I was about to favor Howitzer, but after that first blood, I'm favoring Gideon now because, yeah, he now has an insane gold advantage and experience advantage in that lane alone. Wow.
Yeah, a huge dive there. Doc, you and I were playing a little bit before that. As the Terra jungle, you want to lead in with the Highland Hurl to Root, and just Root sets up the rock and the pebble so easily, which is just a ton of damage. So they were able to secure that Howitzer under the tower. Unbelievable play here from the Professors drawing that first blood.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say the Howitzer is really favored into the Gideon pick, mainly because of the distance that he's able to keep with those R2000 rockets. Really just being able to sit back and pepper, whether it's he's peppering Gideon, whether he's peppering creeps. His wave clear is not quite as strong. And frankly, just in this tournament as a whole, I've been a little underwhelmed by Howitzer performances across the board. It just feels like there are better mid laners that offer more like stuff for their teams. You know, Make It Rain is a quite powerful single target engage spell, but if you're not hitting on the right targets, or if the opposing team has a steal or a big chunky boy who can get in front of his ADC, it kind of renders that ultimate totally useless, other than just an escape.
For sure. Yeah, and we've seen Top Physique, especially Papaya, play the Iggy before, and that's something that, you know, he's pretty proficient in itself. Argus was left on the table as well. We've seen Argus just wreak havoc in this tournament, whether he's on support or in the mid lane. So definitely some other choices besides the Howitzer, but we'll see if the little cat in the robot suit can get anything done. Quang and the Mercy coming through with the tether, just barely misses. Survivor, the blink has to be forced. Oh, tickled his toes, his chicken with the rip blast, just barely misses.
That fight turns totally different if Mercy's able to hit that initial tether at the onset of the fight. But Survivor did a great job kiting them back, and then unfortunately did have to burn his blink, but hold that thought. Howitzer here.
I mean, he just led Violence on a chase over here to the off lane. Now, all of the cooldowns being expended, getting involved as well. No kills going that way, but a lot of time wasted for the side of Papaya making that rotation.
That is a great deal of time, and Involved is quite healthy. He's going to just head back middle. He's going to shove a wave. He's going to crash some creeps under the tower, get a slight creep XP advantage on Papaya's Howitzer, and he's going to be looking to make a rotation sooner than later because he'll have that black hole ready to go.
We already see Quang and company converging onto the Fangtooth. One thing about Quang, he's tough. It's tough to land that tether from the jungle and set up some of those engagements, but being able to tank some of these objectives, he does that really well. Crazy Fool tries to get the steal with the bubble, but doesn't get it. Now it is just who is gonna fight each other, and it's Chicken, the sacrificial lamb, going over to get that objective secured.
Chicken doing support things, right? That's what the supports are for. They're for peeling and dying. Simba gonna get caught out here. Violence, he goes deep, sensing that someone's here. Simba is gonna have to walk away. He should be fine, but Violence is gonna pressure him, but Mercy's coming to back him up.
Okay, I was about to say, I'm sure Joe's your truly's in the chat saying, lazy back, come on, better than that. But luckily his jungler was in the vicinity to help him. But once again, that Quang, I feel like the Terra has the leg up here in the jungle, Doc.
Terra definitely has the leg up, at least currently. Quang's going to need an item or two, and most likely his Tempest before he starts becoming a real threat. But he does have that tether, and that cannot be underestimated. If he hits a tether, especially on a hero like Gideon, that can be just enough time for the team to collapse. Tether plus Make It Rain, that could be enough to delete the Gideon from the game and eliminate the entire black hole from, whatever following skirmish happens. So I think there's a lot of risk, a lot of potential here with that Quang pickup. It's just going to take a little bit more time.
For sure. And speaking of Black Hole, as we watch this gold buff get contested, we'll see which way it goes. They're kind of seesawing this poor golden creep back and forth. Looks like Survivor will secure it with those rad rounds. But I do want to get your thoughts on the team fight capabilities for each of these squads. Right now, Doc, I'm favoring the Professors.
I agree. I am definitely favoring the Professors. They have those wombo combo big abilities. They have Shield Slam. They have Reversal of Fortune. Black Hole involved making a rotation here on Chicken. Black Hole's going to come out on Chicken. Chicken's going to be the sacrificial lamb again, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time and involved. As I said, he hit 6, and he wants to make a rotation as soon as possible. Whenever it's off cooldown, he needs to be using Black Hole to some effect to get something done. And even though it's just a support, it's just Chicken, it's that's one more kill. That's one more chunk of gold going on the way of the Professors heading into this mid game.
Yeah, and that's more space created. That's more tower pressure. Those dominoes fall quite quickly when heroes go down. It's hero death is so impactful in MOBAs and especially Predecessor. So gotta be careful as the Cryosystem and the Shield Slam come through. Now it's Mercy who tries to come to the aid of his offlaner. Can he lock down to steal? The steal has to use gets the Muriel exactly the Reversal of Fortune, the bubble as well. Oh my gosh, Switch is turning it on at the end to stay alive.
Wow, I don't even know how Switch has survived that, but I mean they were duking it out, hoping for their junglers to come, but Violence is coming. Violence wants to clean up. He wants to bring the Violence to Mercy and punish for the lazy back there at the Cyan buff.
But not able to connect the Highland Hurl. Yeah, with that needs to connect in order to secure those kills. That's a really tough look, but does force a little bit more time wasted from that offlaner and jungle as they make their way back to the fountain.
Rotating here over to Involve. Can they make something happen here on Involve or Violence?
Yeah, the big thing with the top physique is a lot of their abilities are kind of make or break. Hitting the tether, hitting the Whiplash, those are really tough abilities to land, especially in some of these shiftier characters like the Gideon, like the Muriel, and the Drongo. So they're going to have to really try to set themselves up for success and chain these abilities well. But right now, the Mini Prime is being contested here by top physique.
Chicken lands the hook on Switches. This is not looking good for Switches.
Oh, yeah, he does get CC'd into oblivion. Now he is on the run. Last Pyrex is chasing after him. Does go for the brink. Hoarfrost and is able to secure the kill. The poor steel turned into scrap metal over there at the Orm Prime contest. But the Gideon putting the pressure heavily onto this mid lane tower.
Last Pyrex absolutely needed to commit that blink to get that kill because they needed to get themselves on this board. They're now down 3-1 instead of 3-0. That gives Pyrex a chance to get an item advantage, get into the game, to be able to bring that magic damage, to bring that control that Aurora offers into the team fights. Before all this chaos started coming on, before I talk about that, they are utilizing this mini prime buff to hopefully knock out the first tier 1 tower for their benefit over here in the off lane. So that's exactly what we want to see when these teams are picking up these mini prime objectives. We need to see them doing something. But wow, okay, he was just canceling the lazy back. Another lazy back by Mercy gets punished. That's some wasted time there.
It sure is, Doc. And the pick on that steal is absolutely crucial because it gave that space to then utilize that mini buff to take that tier 1 tower. So really good recognition on how to take advantage of that. But the first Fangtooth of the game easily going the way of the Professors, knowing the space was created. Now an easy jump in here, the Black Hole and the Whiplash to take him out of it. The blink has to come through from the side of Chicken to get himself out of danger. But now the Reversal of Fortune onto Violence to keep him in the fight. The Ventilate as well secures Survivor. He cannot stay in this one. Now Violence is on the retreat, force blinked out of him, and to make it rain, no umbrella there for the support as they are just blown up, and that is to turn the tide. They got the Fangtooth, but at what cost?
I think they overstayed their welcome there. Really just a fantastic... I mean, it started out as a fantastic call by the Professors to do that objective because Switches over on the off lane on the steal was able to stop Mercy's Quang from doing that lazy back, which gave the Professors that information, hey, the jungler's on the opposite side of the map. Now is the time for us to do this objective without the risk of it being stolen by Hunt. they did it. They deleted the objective. Originally, it started out as they could have just walked out, but instead they pressured away, feeling some sort of confidence heading into a fight, and they ultimately got split up, resulting in 3 deaths for the cost of 1. Not great.
A big turnaround there, Doc, and something we were just watching right now. Switch is trying to take down that tower. That's kind of another reason why I don't really like Steel in the off lane. His wave clear, especially at the early levels, not that great. So he was focusing on hitting the creeps and trying to kill them so that his creeps could take the tower, and ended up not being able to take it at all as Aurora came in still with the prime buff in hand and was able to reinforce the rest of the creeps to push the wave back to equilibrium. So just another kind of tick in the negative box for Steel off lane.
Absolutely, and I think Involve might be in trouble here with 4 collapsing down on him. He's going to be forced out over to the off lane here. I think he should be out in time with the torn space. Violence getting ready to cover any entrances here.
Oh, the shield bash, nicely done there, and a lucky shield bug for Involve as well, being able to keep himself in the fight just that much longer. That rotation spotted out intelligently by the Professors, and Involve stays in the lane.
Yeah, the current state of the map is very even. Sure, there was a mini prime taken by the side of Top Physique, but both teams have a Fangtooth. Both teams have a tier 1 tower taken on the opposite sides of the map. Top Physique's safe lane tower is down, and the Professor's off lane has been taken down. But overall, the game state is pretty neutral at this point. So it's really going to take a big wombo combo to flip it on the favor of the Professors, or it's going to take a series of really successful picks from the side of Top Physique, leading into an objective in order to get them ahead in this current game state.
Absolutely, as we're kind of like in this little farming state simulator, so to speak, right, as we're waiting for the next objectives to come online, this is really important not to get yourself picked out, because if you do, you mess up the whole timing for your team. So you can see a lot of wards coming out from both sides, folks not really trying to aggress beyond the river. They don't want to make any risky plays at this moment. But we do have Survivor now rounding the corner here, the Rad Rounds putting into the back of Simba the Bubble as well, crashing onto him, but Chicken is here to put up the defense.
Chicken comes, he postures, puts himself between Simba and the danger that was onslaughting him. Unfortunately, it looks like Simba will have to reset to become healthy again in order to get back into the farming. But you know what? He didn't die, and that's a good thing. It looked like Survivor was kind of waiting to strike. Violence in some danger here.
Oh my gosh, they put themselves in that danger. They are looking for the violence. They want to play so aggressively with that red buff on their back, but they decide to retreat for now as 2 members against 1 is not a favorable fight. Involve looking to get himself into the mix here, drops the rock on top of him, but just to say, back off.
Yeah, this Involve Gideon is at a very scary point in this game because he has that Noxia online in addition to the combustion. So the Noxia making it so if he hits you, he tags you with both the rock and the pebble, you are losing a significant portion of your HP. He's also able to very easily clear waves in a 1-2 combo. So he's going to be looking to get serious priority and make a rotation with this black hole very, very soon, despite the fact that it looks like a lot of the fighting is happening here in the mid lane. But I am anticipating he's going to either look toward the Fangtooth or the next mini prime.
Yeah, and wave management, something that Mugi talks about a lot, something you know a lot about, especially as a mid laner, is really important because sometimes just having the creeps in your favor can make an indecision point for the opposition. Do we protect our tower? Do we go for an objective? Can we contest somewhere else on the map? But if the creeps are running into you, it's really tough to make. Right now, a decision being made by Top Physique to try to take this mini prime.
Yeah, this is an interesting choice. I think they see value in getting this buff onto Mercy's Quang. But on the flip side, the Professors are going to most likely get this second Fangtooth for themselves, thus increasing their out-of-combat movement speed by 8%. And it looks like they should get out free without losing anybody. I'm not going to jinx it, though, but there's a lot of collapse happening around this Tier 1 tower.
So taking a prime and their tier 1 tower, I think that's a big move that you could see the different objectives. Take a prime, take a tower. It's an easy flow chart for the side of Top Physique, whereas the Fangtooth getting that 8% movement speed, I think really facilitates Violence to do some more work. You can see how aggressive, how many invades they're doing onto the opposite side of the jungle, so that extra bit of movement speed might catch somebody on surprise.
Absolutely. I think Violence's in-game name is actually just a self-fulfilling prophecy. He's going to do everything in his power to just bring the violence no matter what he's doing. And maybe it's his call. I don't know who's making the calls on the side of Professor, but it's definitely the right call. Sorry. Yeah. But yeah, this is a very interesting game state currently that I do give the edge to Top Physique with that Orb Prime buff online currently, or sorry, Mini Prime buff currently. I am expecting them to look to either pressure another tower or fake a pressure and get a series of picks. That is what they need to be doing if they really, I know they got that tier 1 tower, but they need to get more value out of it to make up for that second Fangtooth going the way of the Professors.
Doc, it almost feels like the knife's edge right now. Like, I'm on the edge of my seat because I feel like one false move, one out of position character could just, tilt the way for one team here, as last Pyrex just getting dove on a little bit, but as the Aurora, they're feeling fine. They have the Glacial Charge, the Hoarfrost as well if they need it. The only thing here is, though, is their tower is super low, so they're going to try to prevent those minions from getting to it at all costs.
That's a great play by Pyrex. It's a very little detail, but just keeping the creeps out of that AoE of the tower really enables them to keep that objective up, which then in the future will force the side of the Professors to dedicate resources to take that tower if they are unable to get lane management. But this is a scary position for Pyrex because there's violence, switches, and now they brought the duo lane over here. They want this objective.
They want this tower. They want it bad. A nice charge. Oh my gosh. That is a great piece of tech there to just allow a little bit of extra stall. The tower does go down, but I mean, that's more time off the clock that you're wasting for getting gold, getting experience, putting down wards, whatever it might be. They do finally get it. Now just the mid tower is the only tier 1 left.
They are systematically working their way across the map. It looks like they're grouping up, potentially looking at the Orb Prime. I doubt it, but they are definitely looking to secure these objectives to open up that map so that the Orb Prime objective eventually becomes a bit easier to fight around. It's a lot easier to fight there when the opposing team's tier 1 tower is not present. So there's a lot of systematic movement going on the side of Professors, and I think they're doing it right. They're doing a great job just escalating throughout the game, scaling, getting strong, and waiting for that right moment, waiting for Top Physique to make a mistake so that they can really capitalize on it with their big ults.
Yeah, 5-head plays and discipline coming out from the Professors. That's why, this is a squad that's been around the game for a long time. They know what it takes to win PCC. They know what it takes to win these tough matches. So not wanting to make any mistakes, being very calculated in their movements. But Doc, I want to bring just the levels to everyone's perspective right now. Quang at level 12 now, actually, over Terra's 10. I mean, Quang has just skyrocketed in terms of value here.
Yeah, Mercy's Quang, they've really enabled him in this game with the mini prime buffs, with the ability that he's been given to take priority in these lanes, take these towers. So not only is he 2 levels up, but he also has gotten some local gold from those towers, which means he is in a better economic spot than Violence's Terra currently. But I don't think Violence is too upset. Violence's only job in this game is charge directly at Simba's Twin Blast and just eliminate him from the game, or keep him distracted enough so that he cannot do his job as an ADC.
Yeah, Doc, and something we've been talking about, or at least me, I'm trying to see like these positionings here, right? So for the side of Top Physique, they've kind of got like a 3-2. They've got 3 members that can be in the front line, so the Richter, the Aurora, and the Quang, and then 2 people that are going to stand behind them, being the Howitzer and the Simba. So the Terra is going to try to engage past that triple line and go for that Simba, but what is really going to happen is Involve is going to hop over that 3 line and go right into the middle and use the black hole. That creates a little bit of distraction for the Terra to come through. Now we have a team fight on the verge here, Doc.
Objective. Switch is in danger right now. I mean, he's punching. He's not taking much HP damage, but he is going to get pushed out. This is very, very tense right now because whoever, as you mentioned, whoever makes the first mistake, and just the way both these teams are playing, they are going to be punished immensely for this.
And it could be Crazy Fool, who's the one who is getting coughed up, has to use the Reversal of Fortune, goes right onto Survivor, but it doesn't even matter as Simba, who is on the prow, takes down the Crazy Fool in a foolish position there to make it rain as well, to just thwart the advance from anyone trying to come to the aid of that support player. And it is 1 kill, finally, after 10 minutes, it feels like, Doc, that goes the way of Top Physique.
Yeah, that felt like 22 minutes of just nothing but just posturing and waiting for the other person to slip up and make a mistake. I mean, as Crazy Fool, yeah, he was just caught in the hold that thought involved coming in with a black hole onto Papaya and Mercy. What's going to come out of this? Papaya is going to go down. Looks like Mercy should go down as well. He's going to get the rock dropped right on his dome, and he needs to go back to base to go through concussion protocol.
That was such a good line. Okay, but the fight still commences here as they're trying to get some more pressure onto this mid lane tower. That was a massive black hole because the crest had to come through to prevent the slam from switches, and that was the perfect opportunity for them to come over the top. And now the Primal Fangtooth is on the menu.
I was about to call out Crazy Fool for making the first mistake, but sure, he made the first mistake, but I don't even know how that fight happened in that little tight corridor there, but ultimately Mercy and Papaya both ended up making the bigger of the two mistakes, resulting in no ability to hunt this Primal Fangtooth, and thus giving it up. So not only is it Primal Blazed buff going the way of Professors, but it is now their third Fangtooth of the game, meaning they now have enhanced offense and defensive capabilities, meaning they're just going to be hitting that much harder and resisting damage that much more. So this is currently, the game state has shifted. Even though it is 5-5 on the scoreboard, the game state has shifted drastically in favor of the Professors right now. And they're going to look to continue capitalizing on this lead as they look to set up around the Orb Prime.
Yeah, getting that third Fangtooth is like having an extra item in your pocket. As we do take a look at the creep scores here, very, very close. Only about, 20 between them? 30 now, but it's super close between these squads. I don't really see too many items that are out of the ordinary here, though.
Yeah, on the side of Top Physique, they actually have a slight net worth advantage just looking at the scoreboard based on assist involvement or kill participation. They actually had 14 to Professor's 9, but again, they're down 2 Fang Teeth, and but counterpoint, they're up 2 Orb Mini Primes. So it really is very even game state, but because of this Primal Blaze, it is currently actively the Professor's game to lose.
Right, that true damage is going to be really tough to fight into, and that's exactly why they're going for this Prime, as late Pyrex does go in. The Cryosism, I believe, is expended, yes, but it is the Professors that take the Prime, even though they might cost them their lives, and there's a few members now, 2 down for the side of the Professors. The Black Hole committed the Make It Rain as well to section out the Drongo. Can they find the kill onto him? They do. Fights happening all over the map. It's a 2v2. Chicken tries to go for the hook and gets it, and it's only Switches who survives the onslaught.
Wow, that was such a chaotic fight. I mean, it's so hard to catch everything that happened there, but there were 2 separate fights going on. There was the fight in the pit where all of the big ultimates, the Cryosism, the Black Hole, the Shield Slam, the Fury of the Heavens, all of the big R buttons in this game happened in that pit all at once. And then on the outskirts of the fight, there was Steel pressuring Simba. There was just little, Crazy Fool trying to peel for Survivor. There was just all these little itty-bitty things going on outside of that. But ultimately, it did go the way of Professors, barely in favor with Switches surviving. But, I mean, the scoreboard was 5-5, and net worth-wise, they were even. But they had Primal Blaze, and I believe that is why they came out on top in that situation.
But even just barely, Doc, right? So the fact that you're fighting into the Primal Blaze and you still almost basically win it, and then as they got Prime in the middle of it, I mean, well done from Top Physique to really put the pressure on and counter the onslaught from the Professors. This is just such an even match right now. Once again, the Steel not able to finish off that push. I wanted to be able to take those towers in one go, but just not able to do so.
The other real reason Top Physique kind of came out as successfully in that situation as they did was because Chicken on the Richter in tandem with Obey the Papaya on the Howitzer, as soon as Black Hole triggered, they both stopped everything they were doing and they focused the Landmine and the Whiplash onto the Gideon, stopping him from getting even a half duration. It was not even a half duration Black Hole. Had that gone full and had they not stopped what they were doing to stop it, that would have just been a decimation in favor of the Professors. So really just heads up play by them. I mean, they know what their jobs are in these fights. It's obviously, there's a lot of chaos going on. So it is quite challenging to do those things that you need to do. But that is where these top level players are able to separate themselves from most pub players, is they stay focused. They keep that objective in the back of their mind, and they're able to do and execute it.
Absolutely. Next team fight, I'm going to be looking at Violence. Wasn't able to see them in that pit there. So next time I'm going to be looking for them to see how they get onto this backline here. As you can see him taking that forefront as switches, goes with the up down so quickly to make a little bit of space to take that tier 2. A quick double tower trade here for the side of the Professors. They know they have a little bit of the advantage with that prime buff still on switches to get those creeps all the way to the base.
Yeah, they just took 2 major objectives and severely dented the off lane duo lane. They're very happy with that, and I think Switch's really heads up plays, creating that space, creating that chaos in that backline by the inhibitor to allow his team a chance to get that money. That local gold, that net worth is going to continue to lead their advantage that they've slowly accrued inch by inch by inch throughout this game, and it's plays like that allow that growth to occur. Now the teams are going to start looking to posture for this 5th Fangtooth of the game, and currently the way it stands, Top Physique might be in a better position, at least at first.
Doc, I mean, this is tried and true Predecessor. This game is not about team deathmatch. This is a tactical, strategic game about taking objectives, getting gold when you can, and pushing the advantage when you have it. Right now, an early position for Top Physique. Yeah, this is going to be crazy fight, ladies and gentlemen, so hold on to your horses. There's Violence into the backline quickly, now taking 4-5 people. The Crazy Fool now has to do the reversal of fortune to keep that Terra alive. The Black Hole pressured on top, just eviscerating member after member. Terra, even though they go down, did exactly what they needed to do as 4 members fall, make it 5 from the side of Top Physique. They aren't looking good now as the Primal goes the way of the Professors.
Oh man, they are locked in on all cylinders now. They realize exactly how strong they are, and they played that to perfection. Violence, he goes in, he hits the back line, he says, Muriel, you're going to reversal on me. They get a 3-man knockup. After the 3-man knockup, everything's been expended to stop Violence from getting on Simba, and as a result, Involve's able to get in. He gets a full duration black hole off, and it just decimates the side of Top Physique. They just melted, it ceased existence from this game, and I don't think that team fight could have been any more perfect. That was just superb coming from the Professors.
So much damage there, Doc. They're going to need a prescription from you to get some Tylenol to mend their wounds there. Now they're going straight for the core, and they are shattering it into a million pieces. Clinical from the Professors as they dissected Top Physique to take match 1.
I don't know if Tylenol is going to be enough. They might need some opioids to deal with the beating that they just had in that Primal Fang pit. But I mean, fantastic game by both teams, right? Like, there's nothing to really. Oh man, they are locked in on all cylinders now. They realize exactly how strong they are. But really, it came down to who executed perfectly and who made more mistakes. And ultimately, wow, Professor's execution in that final Primal Fang was chef's kiss. That was amazing.
I mean, Doc, we were talking about, we wanted to see Violence, what they were going to do in the next fight, and there they didn't even care. They put on Unstoppable, they just ran right at him, and they started hacking away. That's 4 people focusing on you. Then you had, like you said, the knockup came through, and all the other ults there afterwards. I mean, well done. And you can see in Predecessor, as the teeters just a little bit, one thing can just flop it all the way to the side, and you can run it all the way home to the base, and it was that fight right there. Well done from the Professors, showing why they are some of the older folks in this scene. They know how to play this game. Fantastic match 1.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And to your point about Terra, it's tough to keep up with what she's doing because her abilities aren't that flashy. She's really not a flashy hero at all. She just kind of runs at you, and that's like what she does. But I mean, with that top-down view, we were able to see perfection from Violence, getting on that back line, bringing the pressure to Simba. It was just, I mean, that game, that was a chess match, and they were just waiting until an opening happened to strike on the Queen, and Professors just showing that they have, more IQ points than the other team.
Absolutely. Well done from our observer Trix for bringing us that view. Appreciate you, friend. Right now, the desk is ready for us. So D-Lo and crew, take it away.
Thank you, bearded boys at the casting desk. Welcome back, everyone. It's D-Lo, it's F6, it's Moogie. It's a nice Professor's victory, not without some hitches. Walk me through it, guys. What just went down?
Professors, tried and true. They came through out in the end of the match, looking a little bit rough throughout that early slight mid game. It was very close, but we know the Professors are very experienced. We saw that come through playing around those objectives. And they finally were able to pick these team fights, pick these kind of engagements that they wanted to. But as you can see here, the early game, man, it was a little bit rough.
And I feel like there is a consistent story throughout like the matches of this PCC so far. It's like game is kind of slow until it exploded, but here it exploded after the 20-minute mark. Like it feels like for the whole early game, like Professor were taking their objective, Top Physique were taking their own objective, Professor take their own structures, Top Physique take their structures, and it seems that we started to finally fight after the 20 minutes mark. And oh boy, those fights were good. To be honest, we have seen that Top Physique actually proved they can team fight against Professor, that they even won a couple of them. However, like there was some situation that were a little bit too expensive. For instance, like this moment after they pick Crazy Fool, like then overstaying, costing them the whole map control. And then also like some team fight were so well executed by Professors, involving in the end 7-1 and 6. Like he never got touched in team fight because Violence was creating so much space, Switch was creating so much space that this Gideon was unstoppable.
Sometimes you got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them, and you got to know when to walk away. Overextension can really be your absolute downfall. So hopefully that hubris not going to befall our friends on Top Physique come the next game. We've had so far only clean sweep so far. What's going to be key for Top Physique in this next game to bring it to a third?
Clean up those team fights.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. PCC 8 Professors up against Top Physique after a nice Professors W. It's D-Lo, it's F6, it's Moogie, and F6, after that nice 3-minute break for my question, I'm going to run it right back to you. You had some time to ponder. You had some time to really think about it. What do we need to see here from Top Physique for them to make this a set to 3?
Yeah, I've been thinking hard about this one. But yeah, my answer is still the same. They're gonna have to just kind of take these team fights and trying to win out the initial engagements. A lot of the times, it's not the actual fight that they had a problem with it. It's just when they took the fights and when they chose to either retreat or to either keep going with it.
And to add on top of it, I feel like it's kind of start from like the draft itself, because I feel like the draft was a little bit lackluster, and that's what stopped them to actually like be able to accomplish things in that match. And first thing, like get rid of that idea of picking Richter, because if I recall the match, like there is not a single time I was like, wow, that's a hook by Richter on Chicken. And if you don't have this type of moment, that means you're not playing Richter correctly at the competitive level. So just like leave the Richter in the hand of Crazy Fool and try to pick for yourself.
That's a really good point here, and we want to see a bit less fluff and filler, a bit more flashbang on. Ooh, we're going to be finding out right now. P's and B's coming at you in just a moment. And Moogie, that's a topic you've talked about before. Comfort, at the end of the day, beats all other wily strategies you try here, with Top Physique having top pick. Curious to find out what that's going to be, or if we're just going to try once again to take Professor's toys away from them.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be undoubtedly where the draft starts is how they're going to do it, right? If they take away the Richter this time,
smart.
You could have called it, look at you. But I mean, it's definitely smart. Taking away that Richter, because you know it's not working well in your hands. Okay, let's just take it off the board completely with a band pick. That way we can leave room to pick up somebody else that'll be a little bit more impactful into the support role for us.
And as expected, we see the Zyrus ban. To be honest, it seems that the first pick has been like prioritized by team, because every time they lose, they're gonna go into the second round where they can choose if their first or second pick, and they always take the first pick. And this time Professor have done their homework after watching the previous series. Like Zyrus is not going to go through, especially also because in the group stage, like Mercy was an absolute monster on the pick. But that means that this time, finally, we kind of see a decker going through that usually has been banned very early. However, that kind of leave both Terra and Aura open for the enemy team, which is a very scary thought.
Yeah, we do get to see Decker make her debut, and it's also what you mentioned, the fact that that topic priority is certainly valued, but this is what you pay. This is the sacrifice you make Terra, not going to be Aurora. Instead, Gideon slotted in alongside them for the Professors.
Kind of makes sense. They want to give a secure pick towards involved. You said the Gideon was a huge factor into those team fights. We saw that end of the Primal Fangtooth play there, big 4-man ult. I mean, they're going to have the Terror already picked up. They might as well have that combo that they used to win that fight ready to go. But like you see now, it's going to leave that Aurora open. But Top Physique picking up the Drongo, though, taking that away from Survivors, a huge pickup here.
And I think in the side of Professor, they were kind of like, okay, Decker first pick. Well, we can do a salty run back, which is not salty at all because we win with it and keep picking the same characters. Starting with the Terra Gideon, and of course Involve 7-1 and 6 was absolutely crazy. And so Top Physique decided to like kind of shift things around. We take the Drongo, force Professor to switch a little bit their strategy, and as I was expecting here, it's the Grim being secured. I don't know if you remember what I said in the previous draft. Survivor is playing only 2 picks so far in competitive matches of the group stage, was Grim and Drongo. So we're not going to take any risk that the Grim get banned, and we're actually going to remove it. But I wasn't expecting that still, because maybe like Switchies like want to play that still again into the offlane, but apparently Professor has another idea and decide to remove completely that from the side of Top Physique, kind of removing any sort of like big beefy frontline from them, maybe forcing them onto the Sevrog.
As Top Physique decide to just ponder, wait to see what their next ban will be for the second wave. Yeah, a lot of toys have been taken off the field here that we saw in that prior game, deciding that maybe we didn't quite feel comfortable in that. We definitely don't feel comfortable seeing them on it either. Look at the Sevarog ban there from Top Physique here. Professor's now waiting to see what they're next going to lock in. F6, any hopes from you?
I don't understand necessarily the Sev ban here, because I don't know. I don't think the Professors will be picking it up. That's the Kwang that I was going to see that they probably ban out. We've seen Switches have a better time on this Kwang, so I expected Top Physique to ban that out. But instead, now the Professors get to pick it up, and I think right now the Professors are getting everything they want.
And we're once again having kind of like the same composition we have seen previously with like the 2 frontline plus like the Gideon. The only thing that kind of still like are open could be the Muriel again for Crazy Fool at the last pick that can make the connection, and basically they would have the same draft as the previous match. But here on the side of Top Physique, we're going to secure the Gadget and the camera. So Gadget works well with the Decker, works well with the Aura, a lot of like lock in place, also very good against any type of dive comp, and we see the Terra, the Quang, the Gideon, so I love the Gadget pick. However, I really believe Camera is in a very, very weak spot. It's probably like one of the worst jungle in the game since the change to the TTK. And so I'm really, really not happy to see a Camera being picked while the draft is being rounded out by the Professor with the Muriel. So like they kind of picked the exact same thing as the previous match with a few change. Of course, Quang is replaced by the Steel, Grim like the Drongo by the Grim, but it's the same identity and that worked well for them.
Different comp, same font. And that's going to be the story here for Professors, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why would you decide to change your drafting plan if it was so successful? And I'm going to ask you the same question, guys, here. Professors are looking to get their second victory that sends them to semifinals. Who do we have our money on?
If they did not pick up the Chimera there, I mean, this team would have been just fine, especially with the way how the Terra and the Kwang want to dive in there. Picking up that gadget, like Miki said, is just a huge kind of just blocker of like anything that you want to do. But the fact that the rest of their team, they have that Muriel in there to have a little bit more sustain, kind of allows them to be a little bit more scary to dive that back line with that reversal of fortune. So I'm definitely gonna be going with the Professors once again, but it's still kind of close in the aspect of both these drafts.
And on my side, I'm going to go for Professor as well, solely on the pick of Camera. Because to be honest, like Professors, they still have some trouble against Top Physique. They need to be smart about the engage. You cannot just jump in and hoping it's gonna go well, because the reception of Aura, Gadget, Drongo is a bit too strong. But that Camera is like almost the sole frontline with that Aura, and so like this Camera is gonna be a non-factor as soon as we start to enter the later stage of the game.
To give some faith here to our friends on Top Physique, I will say we've seen Wily comps before. We've seen some off-meta stuff. I think of Flick there with that Muriel off lane that saw some success earlier in a different set. You never know what someone could be cooking behind the scenes. Gotta hope it's successful, and also gotta hope that we see a bit of a change in terms of that early game syndrome where we were kind of just playing two separate games instead of all trying to actually look for combat. That might be the key for Top Physique to get a bit more active early. Try to look for those picks instead of just kind of playing your own farm build by yourself and then recognizing 20 minutes in there's actually another team to fight. That being said, we've got our drafts locked in as we wait for the caster to get on started here. Do we think that this comp is a bit more flashy? Have we succeeded on that fact that it's a bit less boring, perchance? What are our thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, not on the side of professors. Like we pointed out to the comp is essentially the same on the playstyle that they're trying to accomplish. But with the Top Physique, though, Chicken playing on the Decker is a little bit more on his comfort pick side, where he kind of just pops off with this. And if he's allowed to play his game, he's going to make these rotations to mid lane. He's going to be a little bit more active throughout that early game to potentially put that lead that they need in place to carry them to the mid game, to allow them to try and win this game early. Yes, the Chimera's not in a strong spot, but if he's able to get some resources out of the enemy team to force them into a different kind of fight, it might be Top Physique coming out top in this game if professors make that mistake.
On the side of Professor, I would be saying like slightly more flashier, simply because we have Grim over Drongo, and Grim can just explode people in 1 second, while Drongo you still have to wait for the end of the red round animation. On the side of Top Physique though, there is potential, like flash called by camera into like wombo combo of the gadget plus Drongo Gat Grenade. People can explode, that can like teamfight can go very, very fast, but the execution and the coordination like needs to be absolutely perfect. I don't know if Top Physique can pull it off, but there is definitely potential for flashy plays there.
We're looking for flash, we're looking for bang, we're looking for that awe factor. But we're just going to step back and watch the fireworks. It's HD Philly B, it's Dr. Shadow, it's Tricks in the Sky. Guys, it's all you.
All right, D'Lo and the desk. We are hopping right into it here. 30 seconds in. Doc, that Chimera pick is definitely going to be that point of contention here. I mean, there's a prize pool, $4,500 on the line. There's no time to mess around here in game 2.
Yeah, this is a very surprising pick. Chimera is a hero we just don't see very often because he's known for being really a pub stomper who gets shut down by coordinated, focused, directional teams. But I will say I'm not fully opposed to it. I'm going to be really watching how he plays around against the Grim from the Professors with Survivor on the Grim. Grim hates having people on top of him. He hates having to like use his refrigerator aiming system or whatever he does to try to aim and hit people who are on top of his physical body. And Chimera gets on top of his physical body, which makes it quite challenging. Obviously, Survivor's very skilled in terms of hitting his aim and hitting his shots, but it's still something that makes playing the game very, very difficult. And that might be all they need to edge out a win and make it to a game 3. So I guess we're going to see how that plays out. But over here on the side of Professors in the off lane with switches, he's going to be rocking the Terra, so he's going to be the one who is lacking a little bit of that flash, because as we talked about, Terra doesn't really do anything flashy. She just kind of runs at her targets and is an impressive piece of violence. But Violence won't be playing Terra this time.
Yeah, for sure. And I think maybe the jungle tempo is going to be a little bit faster here for the Chimera. They are going to be able to clear a lot quicker. They're going to be able to contest those river buffs, which maybe could be a way to shut down Involve here. Make sure he doesn't get first blood again. Oh, Papaya playing that one dangerously close there, Doc.
I am going to come back and watch this replay just to see how Involved plays, because as a Gideon player, I want to be as oppressive as he is. He is absolutely showcasing he's level 2, and you got first blood last game, and this game he's just oppressing one of the, in my opinion, strongest mid laners in the game. So, yeah, this is incredible. Oh, but on the back line there, Violence comes in and brings the violence against Papaya. Again, a victim of first blood, going the way of Professors. Will they get a retaliation kill? No, Mercy might go down here on the Chimera, and they're forcing his blink out. He's going to blink behind the tier 1. He should be safe. Cut your losses. They got first blood. They got your blink. Back off. Back off. Don't give too much away. Mercy needs to reset. He needs to hit creeps. He needs to get strong. But over here in the off lane, Pyrex might be in danger because he's not playing against Steel this time. He's up against a Terra, which does do quite a bit of damage.
and terrifying is that hero. D'Lo asked for it, and the fireworks have commenced out here in game 2 of our final quarterfinals of the day. Once again, the script is the same here, Doc. A 2-minute gank onto the mid lane, and we secure it.
Yeah, as I mentioned, applying pressure to Papaya is going to set you up for success as a team on the side of Professors. He's a very strong mid laner. He might not be as, I guess, quote-unquote, highly power ranked as some of the other mid laners that we see, like Appy Picker, like, I don't know, other players like Appy Picker, but he is definitely one to be feared, and especially that gadget. If you can set gadget back a little bit, then those Tesla Domes become less of a cook fest. Because Tesla Dome is insane, and they need to do everything they can to keep that from being an issue, especially seeing the value of these big objective fights that Gadget loves being a part of.
And something that Des talked about was kind of that like anti-dive that the Tesla Dome provides, right? Because you don't want to dive into the Tesla Dome. So do you think that Top Physique is going to try to play a little bit more defensively, try to have the other team engage into them and then take the fight from there? Or do you think they're going to try to press the issue in some of these team fight situations like around Fangtooth, around Prime?
I think that's an interesting question. I think their game plan needs to be leverage Mercy on the Chimera as kind of a bait, make them focus their efforts on stopping the Chimera from getting, hold that thought, there's an engage here, Survivor might be in danger.
Oh my god, a cluster F in here in the jungle, and people are going down left and right. Chicken is flying the coop. Can they get out? Yes, they take the flower to safety, but my goodness, the jungler, the Chimera, once again goes down.
Mercy is straight up not having a good time, but they got... Oh, we might be having some technical... No, we're good. Violence does stop Simba from backing, which does delay his ability to heal up, get resources, get back on the map. But Survivor goes down there, though. That is a very, very valuable kill from the side of Top Physique, despite losing their Chimera, because not only did you kill the Grim.exe, but you burned his Blink as well. So that is just immense value, and a Grim without Blink is just a giant target waiting to be hit. So I think Mercy, there's a lot of pressure on him to apply that pressure.
And now there's pressure onto Switches, pressing all the right buttons his last Pyrex, but Switches is barely able to back to the tower, to the safety. But folks at home, I'm going to be looking for Mercy on that Chimera to try to pressure this duo lane once again, knowing that the Flash has been burned out. If they get a good ambush and then a couple good chops on a Survivor, I mean, he could be finished. So definitely something to be looking out for. You can see the amount of wards they have on this left, or on this river side here to kind of protect themselves from any of those ambushes.
Yeah, it looks like Mercy's going to grab his red buff and then either look to rotate toward for the first Fangtooth of the game, or he's going to look to try to get a gank onto the Survivor who does not have Blink. Again, this is the perfect opportunity right now. They have a 4-minute window, and that's exactly what's happening.
And there it is, the gank comes through the ambushes and the chops, all the damage in the world on a Survivor, and they shut him down. Nothing he could do from that, and now could it be Violence who takes the L as well? No, he is able to get the Alacrity and get out of there, and now Mercy and Chicken are on the run. A nice couple parting shots here from Crazy Fool. Do they decide to re-engage this? The bubble now as well, and involve the hero from the skies decides to aggress here and take down Mercy. I don't know what he was doing there, Doc.
But Papaya's here. His Black Hole gets stopped by Root. Papaya drops the Tesla Dome. Involve is going to have to blink away, but Chicken is pursuing. Chicken wants to stun him, but no, they're going to disengage. That was an absolute mess of a fight, but fantastic plays from both teams. They both recognize that the opposing ADC does not have Blink, so Survivor used Blink to get away and then died. Drongo used Blink to chase Survivor to kill him, and so both junglers recognized that and converged on that duo lane to punish the opposing ADC. So we see both Drongo and Grim both go down as a result of this, and I'm expecting that to happen again, even though Survivor has now rotated to the mid lane, at least temporarily.
The Lion Sense did not come out there. Poor Simba as Switches just from the fog wall just bashes into him, and that was an easy cleanup, as we know how good Grim is at running people down. A fine kill here in the mid lane.
And he didn't even have to use GTFO. He just waltzes up, and starts auto-attacking the target who's been locked down by a Highland Hurl. That is just the power of the Grim.exe. Just absolutely decimates everybody, especially opposing ADCs who don't have any defensive items. So really well played, great rotation, heads up play by Survivor to rotate to that mid lane to get that farm while Involve reset from that previous fight.
And something I want to point out about the gadget play in that duo lane rotation there, Doc. Something that Mugiwawa pointed out on his stream this week when he was reviewing streams was like, if you're playing gadget, you better be able to hit that security gate. That is a huge lockdown ability, and sometimes can be tough to do. Papaya doing an excellent job to lock down the Gideon inside the microwave to do a ton of damage to him. So a really well done piece of skill there from Papaya, because that security gate can be tough to hit, and you better do it if you're playing this gadget.
Top Physique working on this mini prime. They did just give up the first Fangtooth of the game, going the way of the Professors. Again, this is a repeat of last game. We see the first Fangtooth go the way of the Professors, and then we see this first Orb Prime go the way of Top Physique, and they're most likely going to leverage that mini prime buff to take an objective, but Involve fighting Obey here. Obey the Papaya, gonna see if he can make Involve bend a knee, but probably not.
And there is the hat as well. Oh, the fashion statement there on Involved. He didn't like that, so decides to jump away. But we have a number of members here waiting to put the pressure on this unsuspecting gadget. Maybe it could be a good time to head back to the garage here, as Violence is waiting in the wings.
Back to the garage. And Violence is going to see if he can.
Oh my gosh, there it is. A nice tether, though, and the Tesla Dome has to be forced out for the retreat. Papaya just hopping away to safety there, but a ton of cooldowns expended for them. Now some more fighting happening over here in the fog wall. The duo lane, all the cooldowns for Crazy Fool to help Survivor get out, and it's Mercy once again looking for the ambush, decides, not worth it this time.
Survivor does have Blink back up on the Grim.exe, so he's not feeling as scared as he should when a Mercy Chimera with a mini prime buff is running at him, but he should still be a little bit worried, because that is still a very scary situation. I do want to point out that Top Physique has not claimed any objectives with this mini prime buff. They are currently, Mercy's currently farming his 2 camp near middle. He will likely look to make a rotation either onto his duo or mid lane, but the timer's ticking, man. They need to get something with this objective to make it worth it.
Doc, I agree, but the lanes are kind of all maybe in the neutral state. Like, nothing's really going his way, so is Chimera really the one you want to kind of force the issue in a lane? So it's going to be kind of tough. What's his way in here to make an impact with that prime buff?
Yeah, it looks like Pyrex is actually going to be shouting and screaming for some help. Will Switches be able... Oh, Switch is locked under the tower getting hit. They're both limit testing, but Black Hole is going to pop. Looks like Papaya is going to go down. Violence is just bullying Papaya here. Locked him in a tether during the Black Hole. Just violated him with Violence, and Involve is going to be forced to torn space away from Mercy, who just jumps on top of him, but he should be okay. Involve should be fine. And that's the weakness that we generally see. Oh, hold that thought. Switch is diving this tier 1 tower. Last Pyrex is going to get Highland hurled and finished off by Switches. They are over here limit testing, and I think Switch is just hold the W.
My goodness, yes, Switch is feeling very comfortable in that matchup, just constantly pressuring that Aurora down, and this time sending her back to spawn. But Doc, I think in that mid lane gank with the Chimera, that's another showcase is why was that the pick for your jungler? Like, you know that the Gideon can just torn space away from any ambush, so it's like you're wasting your time there trying to do anything with that. So it's just a really tough matchup there for that Chimera to once again get anything done.
See a CS advantage slightly in favor of the side of Professors, but as you know, they are up in terms of kill participation. They have 15 kill, or sorry, 16. I can't math. Whoa, 15 kill participation on the side of Professors, and I think it was like 6 kill participation on the side of Top Physique. So just net worth for the teams right now is pretty solidly in favor of the Professors by several hundred gold, and they're also up a Fangtooth, so they also have that long-lasting bonus heading into this mid game. So right now the game state is the Professor's game to lose, but Top Physique still has a chance to kind of make something happen. I think with this torn space from Involve, and they're going to jump on him.
Oh, and there it is. Once again, the lockdown just not quick enough. I mean, Chicken doing a really great job to jump boot up there, Stasis Bomb, try to get the Ion Strike in too, but just not enough to get this Shifty Gideon into place.
They did burn his Blink, So that's a slight victory. However, they did also burn the Chimera ultimate, so he doesn't have a stun for about 65 seconds or so. So it is going to be rough kind of capitalizing on that blink, that no blink Gideon, because he, as you know, has a get out of jail free card with Torn Space. So it is a tough hero to gank. It's not impossible, but it's all about the angles in which you approach that fight. We've previously seen Mercy coming from his own side of the jungle to try and get involved on the Gideon, and Gideon can just do a 180, turn around, and torn space away. What we need to be seeing is 90-degree angle adjacent angles where Mercy's coming from the river, coming from behind the tier 1 tower to try to cut off that angle of escape from Involve. But we just haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, so it's all about angles. The geometry must be right here to make this Chimera work. And for now, the Fangtooth is up, and the Professors are the first to jump upon it. This would be the second for them, that all-important movement speed. But the Top Physique does not want to give this one out without a fight. And Mercy trying to find somebody to jump on. It's the Gideon once again, and he just gets blown up. The counter dive Tesla Dome now expended, dropped upon them, but they just walk right out of it. And an easy Fangtooth take there for the side of the Professors. This is disaster here for Top Physique. They're looking like they've eaten too many McDonald's burgers, and they're finally a trade there from Simba, gets his counterpart number, and the rest decide to retreat here for the side of the Professors. But through the rift, Simba goes and finds Involved. That is absolutely a massive pickoff here at the end. The fight still goes on. Violence overstays his welcome, and Simba with a triple kill. Doc, this could be exactly what they need to get back into this.
This was an absolute mess of a fight, but Simba coming out on top somehow, perfectly positioning himself, perfectly getting peeled by his support team members, especially the Decker, locking cages, hitting stasis bombs. Really fantastic heads-up play to chase into the pit, to go after the torn space, to follow up and clean up the Gideon. Then he just wrapped around and got a free kill on the Quang, on Violence's Quang. That fight, sure, they lost second Fangtooth, so they're down in movement speed, but they just got back into this game. Things were looking really dire for Top Physique, in my opinion, just in terms of net worth across the map, but your carry just got 3 kills. Simba is feeling great right now, and I think they're going to capitalize on that with aiming to get the second prime. This is going to define this game right here.
That's a massive play from Pyrex to deny any advance into that pit here. Now they're looking to turn the tables with Mercy. It does have that mini buff prime on them. A nice stasis bomb, a parting gift there from Chicken. A little happy meal, but no, he gets fried up from the side of Involved, tossing the pebble and the rock, and switches, taking that as the go button here. Tries to advance forward. Simba now is the target, and Mercy is the one to find the kill, but Simba does go down on the back end here. Another black hole from the side of Involved. It could be massive as he locks one in place, and now it's Pyrex who's running for the hills.
Oh man, Pyrex doing everything in his power to really just enable his team to isolate the Terra and isolate the targets and really try to keep them safe with those glacial charges. Fantastic plays by him, but unfortunately the Terra, the Gideon's able to torn space over those walls. It's just, it's not enough. It's too little, too late. And as a result, they do give up a nice bounty. Simba had a 3-kill bounty at least on him, and they give that up. Involved gets a massive black hole that results in 2 kills and almost a 3rd kill. So that gate, I think, as I mentioned before the mini prime went down, that objective is going to, I think, define the rest of this game. As a result of that fight, the survivor on the Grim.exe is over on that duo lane. He just shoved the tower. He's just farming away. He's 20, 25 CS up on, sorry, I can't read. He's 40 CS up on Simba. So he's feeling pretty good. He might be 2 and 3, but he is a Grim. He is still going to hit like a truck no matter what. So he was able to secure an objective for his team, get that gold into the pockets of the Professors, and ultimately the rest of the Professors still won the team fight. So really favorable exchange going the way of the Profs.
Yeah, a nice trade there. The meme that says you get this, I get this, and it's all going the way of the Professors there. The gold buff to boot here for Survivor as well, so they're going to be looking to put the pressure on. Switches feeling very strong as well with the Mutilator and the Tainted Blade. We know that's kind of the first 2 starting items for the Terra no matter where you slice it. So in a really good game state here. Now, folks, we are in the neutral where folks are just going to try to farm up a little bit before the next objectives come online. online, and a massive Highland hurl into the displacement shot. Papaya has to force out the blink, and there's nothing that Mercy on this Chimera can do to even approach this front line.
GTFO to follow up on Papaya's gadget, forcing a stasis out of him, forcing the Tesla Dome to try to keep them off that tier 1 tower, and it still isn't enough. They don't get a kill, but they get a blink, they get a stasis, they get a Tesla Dome, they get a tier 1 tower, and now they're going to look to just really secure map control over here around the Fangtooth, since it will be spawning in approximately 45-ish seconds.
Doc, this is looking really dire for Top Physique. They don't have any towers down. You can see those little blue semicircle. I mean, there's like maybe, what, 1/8 damage on all towers? That's not nearly enough at this stage of the game. I mean, the pressure is mounting upon them to stay in this quarterfinal match with that $4,500 on the line.
Yeah, the side of Top Physique, they're going to need to inject some steroids or something to really get that six-pack if they really want to compete against the Professors right now, because they're just big-braining their way to victory here. Professors are being systematic with their objectives. They're being systematic with the fights they're picking. That's why we're seeing such a small scoreboard on both sides, but they are just... Yeah, they're galaxy brain mode right now, and it is showing as they move to secure the third Fangtooth of the game.
And every kill is impactful. That is how systematic they are playing. And every hit from Survivor just doing a massive amount of work. The Riftwalker Ion Strike there from Chicken locks down so many. And now Mercy comes in with the Culling Blade. The Black Hole into the Tesla Dome. That has got to hurt for the side of Involved, but he takes down his opposite number as well. And now 2 down for the side of Top Physique. That was the perfect engage. That was exactly what they wanted, but they come up short once again.
Oh no, and it looks like Simba's gonna get caught. Maybe last Pyrex too, unless Violence can hit a tether. I don't know. It's pretty close. But no, Simba's gonna try to retaliate and try to pop him down with rad rounds. Violence is gonna go down for that greed. He will be punished. That is, it's welcome gold into the pockets of Top Physique, but it is very minimal compared to the fact that Professors will be claiming the tier 2 in the duo and in the middle lane, which is an insane amount of gold, on top of the fact that they got the third Fangtooth of the game, might I add, which means that they have bonuses to their offenses and their defenses, which means they're stronger, they're faster, they're wealthier. That was just a disaster. As you mentioned, it started out perfect for Top Physique. They got the Riftwalker into the double Iron Strike, into the Tesla Dome, and Involve on the Gideon just tanked it. He used his ultimate, which gave him an overshield from the True Silver bracelet, and then he procced his Soul Bearer to get additional shield. So he just stood in the Tesla Dome and channeled his black hole, and really was not deterred at all by it. And that black hole is what allowed his team to just clean up. Crazy Fool might be caught out here, though.
Yeah, that support, it happens as a support player myself. Sometimes you die for the vision, and a very important vision at that is the Prime will be the next objective on the board. But now Violence without a sword in his hand, running for his life. Mercy, this is the kind of one-on-one engagement that he wants. Chicken just barely missing that stasis bomb. If it connected, that could have spelled doom for Violence, but he's looking pretty healthy here. He might try to re-engage at some point.
And even switches, he might be down a fifth of HP, but he is still very healthy and in a good position to fight last Pyrex. But it will ultimately pop out with the comms coming that Top Physique was on their way to that fog wall by Prime. As a result, it looks like they should reset and kind of all get healthy before they re-engage around this Orb Prime, because we're now at 21 minutes into the game, which means we're now 1 minute and 40 seconds in from since Orb Prime has spawned, and this is the next objective that Professors are going to look to just be able to systematically shove in the waves and destroy the core.
All right, so Violence just doing a little bit of janitorial duty, sweeping up any of the vision. He doesn't see that one on the high ground of that Prime pit, though, so everything is being seen by this top side of Top Physique. They know that this Prime is going down, and it's once again Mercy just caught out somewhere in the ether, just getting blown up from the other side, and a Prime once again easily taken here for the side of Professors. Now with the Prime buff in hand, they're looking to put pressure on the Iron Strike, tries to lock people down, but Chicken once again melted, and Switch is just putting in a ton of work here in the mid lane.
Holy cow, this Muriel Terra combination, and they're not done yet. Oh, they're just going to wrap up last Pyrex there. holy, Cryoseism is not enough to just even deter them from touching him. They get the Orb Prime buff as a result of Mercy getting caught out in the backline by Switch's Terra. And then Terra's pressure and oppression plus Muriel's Reversal of Fortune just instantly ends the game. Like that,
yeah.
They found a groove and they're just ending it. Wow.
That was a GG angle there, Doc. I mean, nothing that the Top Physique could do as Professors with the finger in the air, wagging Matumbo style, say, "You will not get this victory," and they claim it for themselves. They move on to face the Doctors tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. The Professors, they honed in how to write a good test, and they administered it. Top Physique failed it with flying colors, and they're going to have to go to summer school after that. The Terra Muriel combo, way too strong right now. I feel like that Terra oppression on the back line followed up by the shield and the knockup, allowing her to get off more of her Q and more of her pure damage. That's the star of this series, in my opinion, is the Terra Muriel combo.
Yeah, absolutely. And every tournament seems to have a meta evolve within it. And I think after this game, a lot of folks might be seeing that Terra Muriel combination and will be trying it out themselves, especially as we move into our quarterfinals and finals tomorrow. An absolutely immaculate combination between these squads. Ladies and gentlemen, that was our final game of the day. I'm HD Philly B with Dr. Shadow. We have way more matches for you tomorrow, but for now, we're going to head back to D-Lo and the desk.
Thank you very much there, Caston lads. A final stomp completes our day. The Professors take it in 2. Top Physique's honeymoon is over, and now they're trying to annul the marriage. F6, Mugi, walk me through this game.
The Professors just completely negated what Chimera wanted to do. We talked about how it wasn't strong into this meta, wasn't going to be doing a lot. And I mean, Professors just were able to just control this entire game. Big shout out to Wards of Violence. He was an absolute menace. See here, he's just very aggressive. Him and Switches on the Terra just did not care. They just were completely fighting everybody.
And if we look at the match overall, it seems that every single lane was winning. Like Involve against Papaya, once again, like with the presence of Violence, they dominated that zone. Like Switchies was super strong on the Terra, and also like Survivor and Crazy Fool kind of having a good time onto the dual lane. So at some point, if you win every single lane, every time like Top Physique was getting something going, it was like a trade at best. And so in the end, it's just like Professor was stronger with the better mantle going into that match, and they end up taking the W in a very, very fast fashion, with Switch was winning a 1v3 at the end with the All Prime, and just like it's game like that.
Professors will be tomorrow stepping up against the Doctors to prove wrong the age-old phrase that those who can't win PCCs teach. What do we need to see from them to see another Professor's W?
I mean, the Doctors are a whole entire other battle. We did talk about a little bit earlier how the Doctors needed to step up from the mistakes that they made today, but not to shy away from the Doctors are an excellent team. They're a great team, and they will contend to the Professors, and it's going to be a lot tougher than playing Top Physique when it comes on the Professors end. They're going to need to come out strong. They're going to need to be able to play perfect, because the Doctors, one thing they do know how to do is draft, and that is when the game start, is in that draft screen.
And speaking of draft, I think it's gonna be very interesting, because we have seen like Professors super duper strong with the Gideon or the Terra, two pick that also Docs love to run. So I think they're gonna have like a lot of priority back and forth trying to fight for the better comp. And that's going to be super interesting, since on top of that, this time I won't have the Joker card of saying like the team that practiced the most win, because those two teams actually practice a lot getting into that final stage.
Absolutely. I mean, you both mentioned it, the fact that these P's and B's, especially from the Pressure side, were quite consistent. You got to imagine Doctors, they're going to study up, they're going to research, they've got the PhDs for a reason, so it's going to be interesting to see that scrap for the Gideon, scrap for the mids, and have to find out tomorrow how it all shakes out. But that being said, guys, the games have been played. The violence has ended, and the curtain must finally fall. F6, Mugi, final thoughts, final statements before we finish things off for tonight.
I mean, today was just an exceptional day for games. We did see 2-0s all across the board, but it was hard fought. I mean, a lot of these top 8 teams are just here to be great. A lot of them were newer as well, so we can definitely see them in the next PCC and these later going on tournaments. They're definitely going to be shining, especially top, being a newer team. Definitely see them coming in the next PCC with a different psyche, different mental, and a ready game plan to really come out on top. But all around, though, great job. Everybody just had fun time here being here.
And I want to take the chance to kind of thank all the players because, like, to be honest, it's just a hobby for all of us at that point. And it's also a hobby for the players, and I have to invest a lot of time to be at the top so we can get those great games. And sometimes we forget because they're on our screen, but like without them, we weren't having like all this good time and all those good plays that's probably gonna step up even more tomorrow. So I can't wait for tomorrow's semifinal. Like the 4 teams that remain are actually like top quality. And that's gonna be like some very, very tooth and nail matches. And I'm always like getting super excited and stoked and always happy to have those matches that push the competitive level of Predecessor to the next stage.
Looking forward to tomorrow. It's gonna be a good one to round out all of PCC 8. I want to give huge thanks to our production, Choice Plays, and Anne, our admin, Stranger Monarch, and Aprilis, our graphics folks, Hot Sauce, Noctisera, and Corvin, our observers, Trix, Shift AC for those lovely screenshots as well. Appreciate you, buddy. And all, and I mean all, of our on-screen talent. Please, everyone, make sure to drop thanks in the chat for all of these people's amazing work. We can't do it without every single one of them. I want to personally thank our dog for her work across the season and the wisdom that she gave me that really helped me fill her very large shoes today. We look forward to having you back, Miga. Looking forward to seeing you back in the saddle. And last, but certainly not least, thank you, loyal, obedient viewer, for your time. We hope you've enjoyed these sets just as much as we have. Keep an eye to the sky for semis and finals tomorrow, same time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard. I'll be taking the day off, but we'll have Lance as your lovely host. With that, everyone, good games and good night.